So 3 days after the deadly attack at Bondi Beach, and investigators are trying to piece together the motivations of the alleged shooters. But as investigations continue, internet users have also faced false responses around the mass shooting. The attack, which left 15 people dead, has become the latest flashpoint in concerns about AI systems and social media, as online platforms have scaled back human fact-checking and content moderation. And among the falsely reported claims was the misidentification of Ahmad al-Ahmed, now being referred to as the Bondi hero. X's AI chatbot Grok repeatedly misidentified Ahmed as 47-year-old Edward Crabtree. And it also wrongly claimed the footage of Ahmed tackling the shooter was an old video. And one of the perpetrators was also misidentified as a 30-year-old Pakistani man living in Sydney. AI-generated photo showing the shooting as part of a film set was also shared, blurring the lines between facts of this deadly terror attack and fiction. Well, Australia's internet safety regulator has reported receiving multiple complaints around the sensitive incident, saying that authorities may consider action against platforms and services amid the rise of misinformation. On this, we speak now with Dr. Belinda Barnett, who is Senior Lecturer of Media at Swinburne University, Hawthorn. It's good to see you, and I am looking forward to this conversation with you. First, social media has been overwhelmed. We've been talking about this, Dr. Barnett, from misidentifying a Pakistani man to fabricating fake heroes. Can you tell us what this says about the speed and the scale at which these false narratives now spread online, especially during a crisis?
Yep. Well, it tells us that it's given superpowers by AI, and that AI has kind of exacerbated a cycle that already existed on social media, where misinformation can go viral and sometimes even get traction in news outlets.
Yeah, all that turbocharging indeed. The AI tools like Elon Musk's Grok chatbot, they're among the first to falsely name the suspect. You're talking about that supercharging. Do you then think that we are approaching a point where the public can no longer tell what is real?
I think it's got a lot more difficult to tell what's real, but I think there are some things that that you can do, particularly in the period of time after a major incident, like what happened in Australia on Sunday. You can check the source of information immediately. And make sure that the source, for example, has no motivations behind what they're sharing. And it's really important to think twice before you retweet or reshare information about whether or not it's factual.
You know, Dr. Barnett, with what happened 3 days ago, was it exactly as you expected, the way things blew up on social media? Did anything surprise you?
No, unfortunately, it didn't surprise me. And I was kind of dreading that might, in fact, happen. Because at the time that we all went to sleep in Australia, we didn't know the identity of the terrorist, the attacker. And so that means there's a vacuum of information. There's people that are highly emotional and want an answer, but there's a vacuum in terms of the official information to fill it, because the information doesn't exist yet. So that's a really perfect time for misinformation to take root. And when we saw this invented name of Edward Crabtree, for example, that had been generated by artificial intelligence and originally appeared on a false news site before it made its way into Grok. That name came out when Australians were really searching for information. So if they, for example, went to X and asked X what the identity of the attacker was, X would respond at that time with a false name. So this meant that the information had a degree of power in terms of virality.
Yeah, it's powerful, and social media did fill in that information gap. Australia's ban on social media for under 16s We know it's meant to protect kids, but then came this Bondi shooting. So, Dr. Barnett, the wave of unchecked fake news and conspiracies came along. Has this ban already been undermined by the very crisis it was meant to address?
I think it's too early to tell. I mean, it was only implemented a week or two ago. So check in 6 months down the track and we'll tell you whether or not it's effective. I've personally got high hopes for it. The idea is that we protect kids from misinformation like this, as well as the other safety issues that social media presents.
Okay, so AI has made some missteps, lots of hallucinations in quite a high-handed way. Who do you think then should be held accountable for this? The platforms that host it, the AI tools generating it, or the governments? Are they slow to respond? What does a real plan take to counter fake news going into the new year?
I think the platforms need to be held responsible for the content they host in the same way that a broadcaster is held responsible for the content that it broadcasts. So these social media platforms have been incredibly reluctant to call themselves or see themselves as publishers, because that means they have a responsibility around misinformation, for example. They have to very quickly deal with misinformation. Um, so, yeah, in an ideal world, they would take responsibility.
And Dr. Barnett, help reflect on this for us, for regular users like you and I, especially during moments of national tragedy. What are the risks of being exposed to this flood of content? And what's the cost to society then, when our shared understanding of events is shaped by algorithms rather than the truth?
Yeah, well, we saw how misinformation can contribute in terms of the UK riots. If a particularly divisive piece of information takes root online and then there's ramifications, it gets picked up by news outlets, for example, it can have social effects. It can increase division and hatred, social unrest.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for talking through all these points with us, Dr. Belinda Barnett, Senior Lecturer of Media at Swinburne University, Hawthorne.